to their most basic components. Humanity had turned the tables completely. They were no longer prey. They were processors, consumers. David approached the conversion chamber, watching the final stages of biological processing. Complete nutritional. Extraction in 3.2 minutes, Arya announced. Each conversion chamber worked with mathematical precision. Specialized energy fields prevented any potential biological contamination. The process was clean, efficient, almost beautiful in its scientific brutality. Rachel continued her molecular analysis. Protein structures show remarkable complexity, she said. We could potentially map entire new nutritional pathways from this single specimen. The ship's food synthesizers began preparing to integrate the newly processed biological material. Advanced nutritional algorithms would ensure maximum efficiency, maximum safety. One by one, the aliens moved through the conversion process. Their complex bodies, once symbols of technological superiority, became nothing more than raw nutritional potential. Humanity had transformed predators into pure sustenance. Arya continued its clinical report. Biological conversion at 92.6% completion. No waste detected, nutritional value exceeding initial projections. David watched the final stages of the process. Each alien represented more than just food. They were a message to the universe. Humans were no longer simple prey. They were adaptable. They were survivors. The medical bay's temperature remained constant. The conversion chambers continued their precise work. Molecular structures dissolved, transformed, reassembled. Rachel looked at David. First batch ready for nutritional integration, she reported. The ship's food synthesizers hummed to life. What was once a feared alien boarding party would now sustain the human crew. A complete transformation, a total victory. Conversion complete. Arya announced, the universe had just witnessed a new definition of survival. Humans had not just defeated their predators, they had consumed them, completely, efficiently, without mercy. Another batch of conversion chambers prepared to receive their next subjects. The process would continue, precise, clinical, ruthless. Humanity had evolved. The communication array aboard the Horizon powered up, its complex systems humming with controlled energy. Captain David Kim stood before the primary transmission console, his fingers hovering above the activation panel. Rachel Park monitored the galactic communication frequencies, ensuring their message would broadcast across multiple star systems. The ship's artificial intelligence, Arya, calculated the most effective transmission channels. Ready to broadcast, Rachel said quietly. David took a deep breath. This was more than a simple message. This was a declaration, a statement about human survival and capability that would echo through the galaxy. Arya began the transmission. Complex encryption protocols activated, ensuring the message would penetrate even the most advanced communication barriers. The first waves of the broadcast began to pulse outward, cutting through the darkness of space. The holographic display showed expanding communication rings, spreading like ripples across the vast cosmic ocean. Each ring represented potential listener systems, alien civilizations, potential predators. Message transmission at 23% coverage, Arya reported. The message was simple, precise, brutal in its clarity. Humanity is not weak. We are adaptive. We survive. Behind the words, the transmission carried encrypted data packets, fragments of the recent encounter, proof of the biological conversion, a warning to any species considering humans as potential prey. Rachel watched the transmission spread. Signal strength increasing, she noted. Multiple star systems will receive the full broadcast within hours. David remained motionless. Each second of transmission was a statement, a promise, a threat. The ship's engines hummed softly. The Horizon drifted through space, carrying its message of survival. No longer would humans be considered easy targets. No longer would they be viewed as simple resources to be exploited. Arya continued its precise calculations. Transmission at 67% galactic coverage, encryption protocols maintaining maximum integrity. The message contained more than words. It carried the genetic data of the processed aliens, molecular proof of human capability, a scientific trophy broadcast. Across the stars, Rachel's fingers moved across the control panel. Additional data streams began to attach to the primary transmission: detailed scientific reports, biological analysis, nutritional breakdown of the alien specimens. Full transmission package prepared, she reported. David watched the holographic display. Each expanding communication ring represented potential futures, potential warnings, potential deterrents. The universe would understand. Humans were not prey. They were predators. They were survivors. Arya's voice cut through the silence. Transmission complete. 98.7% galactic coverage achieved. The message hung in space. Silent. Powerful. A declaration of human potential. Rachel looked at David. No words were necessary. They had done what generations of humans had dreamed of. They had transformed from hunted to hunters, from prey to processors. The horizon continued its silent drift. The communication array powered down, but the message remained, spreading, expanding. Warning, humanity had spoken. The stars listened. Transmission complete, Arya announced one final time. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space, alien civilizations would receive the message. They would understand the new reality. Humans were no longer a species to be taken lightly. David allowed himself a slight smile. A message sent. A statement made. A new chapter in human survival had begun. The ship's engines pushed forward. The horizon moved silently through the cosmic darkness, carrying its warning, its promise, its threat. Humanity had evolved, and the universe would never be the same. The ship's internal systems continued to hum with controlled energy. Every movement was calculated, every action precise. This was more than a capture. This was a statement about human capability and survival. Rachel's voice broke the silence. Primary containment protocols are stable. Neural disruption at 98.6% effectiveness. David nodded. The first phase was complete. The aliens had walked exactly where human strategy had predicted. They had become nothing more than captured resources, their advanced technology and predatory intentions neutralized in moments. As the immobilized boarding party remained frozen in the corridor, the horizon continued its silent drift through space. No distress signals would be sent. No rescue would be attempted. The universe had just witnessed a fundamental shift in the balance of power. Humans were no longer the weak species to be exploited. They had become something else entirely. Adaptable, strategic, and utterly ruthless in their approach to survival. The trap had sprung, and humanity had won. The aliens remained frozen, their complex sensory systems overwhelmed by human technology. Captain David Kim walked slowly through the containment area, each step calculated and deliberate. Behind him, Rachel Park carried a specialized diagnostic tablet, her fingers moving with precise scientific curiosity. "Psychological breakdown begins now," David whispered to Rachel, his voice low and controlled. The first alien subject began to show subtle signs of mental stress. Its multiple eyes darted rapidly, attempting to communicate with its team members, but finding only silent paralysis. Human technology had not just stopped their physical movement, it had isolated each creature completely. Arya, the ship's artificial intelligence, began projecting specific sound frequencies designed to trigger deep psychological responses. These were not random sounds, but carefully researched auditory signals that would dismantle the aliens' mental resilience. Rachel studied the biological readings. "Their neural pathways are incredibly complex," she observed, "but also remarkably predictable. Each alien represented a puzzle. Their communication systems, their social structures, their biological responses, all were being systematically analyzed and dismantled. The humans were not just capturing, they were understanding." David approached the lead alien warrior. Its exoskeleton suggested strength, but its current state revealed complete vulnerability. He spoke slowly, knowing the translation systems were active. "You thought humans were weak," he said. "You were wrong." The alien's sensory appendages twitched, involuntarily. Fear was becoming a tangible substance in the containment area. The humans were transforming from potential prey to something entirely unexpected. Aria continued its psychological assault. Specific sound frequencies targeted the aliens' most sensitive neural connections, images of their homeworld, their failed missions, their deepest fears began to flash across the containment area's display screens. Rachel monitored the psychological breakdown. Stress levels increasing, neural resistance dropping by 3.6% per minute. The aliens' complex communication system, once their greatest strength, was now becoming their most significant weakness. Every attempt to resist, to communicate, to understand was being systematically destroyed. David walked between the immobilized creatures, his movements suggesting both scientific curiosity and predatory intention. They were no longer beings. They were resources, subjects, potential nutrients. "Your technology failed you," David continued. "Your assumptions about humanity were incorrect." The first alien began to show signs of complete psychological collapse. Its multiple sensory systems were overloaded with carefully designed stimuli. Fear was no longer an emotion. It was becoming a physical state. Rachel's tablet showed fascinating data. The aliens' complex neural networks were breaking down faster than predicted. Human psychological warfare techniques were proving brutally effective. Aria projected a series of images: destroyed alien vessels, failed invasion attempts, human technological advancements. Each image was a calculated blow to the aliens' collective psychological structure. "We are not your prey," David said softly. "We are something else entirely." The containment area transformed into a clinical theater of psychological deconstruction. Every alien response was being analyzed, every neural pathway mapped, every potential resistance neutralized. Hours passed. The aliens' initial confidence transformed into complete psychological submission. They were no longer warriors. They were subjects, resources waiting to be processed. Rachel looked at David. A slight smile crossed her face. "Primary psychological breakdown complete," she reported. The universe had just witnessed a new form of warfare. Not physical, not technological, but purely psychological. Humans had turned the aliens' own complexity against them. As silence filled the containment area, the true nature of human survival became clear. They were not just a species, they were adaptable, they were ruthless. They were evolution in its most precise form. The psychological deconstruction was complete. The medical bay hummed with a clinical, cold precision. Specialized conversion chambers lined the walls, each designed for maximum efficiency. Captain David Kim watched as the first alien was carefully moved into position, its once proud body now nothing more than a potential resource. Rachel Park adjusted the molecular deconstruction interface, her fingers moving with surgical accuracy. "Protein extraction protocols are ready," she announced, her voice devoid of emotion. Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, began the biological conversion process. Specialized nanobots, microscopic machines developed through years of secret research, started breaking down the alien's complex cellular structure. The first alien didn't resist. Its psychological deconstruction had been so complete that biological processing seemed almost a mercy. Advanced human technology transformed what was once a feared warrior into pure nutritional potential. "Protein compatibility at 87.3%, Rachel reported. "Cellular breakdown progressing smoothly." David watched the process with scientific detachment. Each alien represented more than just a meal. They were a scientific breakthrough, a demonstration of human adaptability. In this moment, they were becoming something fundamental, pure resource. The conversion chambers used a combination of molecular dismantling and nutritional extraction. Nothing would be wasted. Every cellular component had potential value, from complex proteins to trace mineral compounds. Aria projected holographic displays showing the biological breakdown. Intricate molecular structures dissolved, transformed, reassembled. What was once a living being became a carefully processed nutritional matrix. "Interesting," Rachel muttered, studying the molecular deconstruction. "Their cellular structure contains compounds we've never encountered before." The medical bay felt cold, clinical. The aliens, once predators, were now being reduced. The vast emptiness of space stretched before the human research vessel like an infinite black canvas. Captain David Kim stood motionless, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that flickered with soft blue light. Around him, the ship's interior hummed with a quiet, calculated energy. Beside the captain, First Officer Rachel Park analyzed the long-range sensor data. Her fingers moved swiftly across the translucent control panel, tracing complex patterns of potential trajectories. Something was coming. Something predictable, yet dangerous. The horizon looked damaged, intentionally so. Its outer hull showed strategic marks of apparent combat, metal panels slightly buckled, emergency lights blinking intermittently. To any passing alien vessel, it would appear like a wounded prey waiting to be consumed. Deep within the ship's engineering section, a team of specialists prepared their most intricate trap. They had studied alien boarding protocols for years, understanding every potential movement, every tactical approach. This wasn't just a mission, it was a carefully orchestrated dance of deception. Their target, the notorious trading vessels that roamed this sector of space, predatory ships that viewed humans as potential slaves or resources. But today the hunters would become the hunted. The ship's artificial intelligence, a complex network named ARIA, continuously calculated probabilities. Potential intercept in 17 standard minutes, the soft computerized voice announced. No emotion, pure calculation. David allowed himself a slight smile. Years of research, months of preparation, and weeks of precise positioning had led to this moment. Humanity was no longer going to be passive. They would demonstrate their capability, their adaptability. Rachel turned towards David, her expression a mixture of professional calm and underlying excitement. Targeting systems are primed. Neural disruptors are at maximum efficiency. Electromagnetic containment fields are stable. The captain nodded. Every crew member understood their role. Every system was prepared. This wasn't just a mission, it was a statement to the universe about human potential. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, space remained dark and silent. But something was approaching. A shadow began to grow, metallic and angular, the distinctive shape of an alien trading vessel becoming visible against the starry backdrop. The alien ship moved with confident, predatory precision. Its design suggested centuries of technological advancement, sleek metal surfaces, complex energy signatures, advanced propulsion systems that humans had only recently begun to understand. Aria's voice cut through the tension. Alien vessel matching. Predicted approach vector. Scanning confirmed standard boarding protocol initialization. David's hand rested lightly on the command console. No sudden movements, no indication of preparedness. They needed to appear vulnerable, weak, an easy target. The alien vessel drew closer. Its scanning beams swept across the horizon's exterior, probing for weaknesses, assessing potential resistance. But they would find nothing unexpected. Everything was exactly as planned. Milliseconds became minutes. Minutes felt like hours. The entire crew remained absolutely still, breathing controlled, muscles tense but not visibly so. This was a moment of perfect human discipline. Rachel's voice broke the silence. Boarding teams preparing to launch, estimated contact in 3 minutes. David watched the holographic display, seeing the alien vessel's boarding pods detach and move towards their ship. Each pod represented a team of alien warriors, trained for quick, efficient captures. They had no idea what awaited them. The first boarding pod connected with the horizon's outer hull. Mechanical locks engaged, pressurization systems activated, standard procedure for any predatory species seeking to capture and exploit. But today, standard procedures would fail. As the first alien warriors prepared to enter, hidden systems within, the horizon began to pulse. Microscopic preparations, years in development, were about to transform this seemingly helpless human vessel into something entirely unexpected. The trap was set. The players were in position. And humanity was ready to show the universe that they were no one's prey. The boarding pod's metallic door hissed open, releasing a team of alien warriors into the dimly lit corridor of the horizon. Their exoskeletal armor gleamed under emergency, lighting each movement calculated and precise. They expected helpless humans, easy prey for capture and potential slavery. Captain David Kim watched through hidden internal sensors, his breath measured, his hand resting lightly on the emergency control panel. Every system was primed, waiting for the perfect moment. The first alien stepped forward, its multiple sensory appendages scanning the environment. Strange mechanical clicks echoed through the ship's hollow corridors. They moved in a tight formation, weapons charged, expecting resistance but finding only silence. Suddenly, a low-frequency pulse began to vibrate through the ship's metal framework. Most humans wouldn't notice it, but the aliens' sensitive biological systems immediately detected something was wrong. Their communication devices started to crackle with static. Rachel Park, standing beside David, made a subtle hand gesture. The neural disruptors were warming up, preparing to engage. The alien team leader raised a warning signal, but it was too late. Microscopic electromagnetic fields began to activate, targeting the specific neural pathways of the boarding party. Their advanced technological suits started to malfunction, internal systems experiencing rapid computational failures. One by one, the aliens found themselves unable to move. Their muscles locked, their communication systems died, their weapons, becoming nothing more than dead weight. The trap had sprung with mathematical precision. Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, provided a calm report. Boarding party neutralized. Total containment achieved in 2.7 seconds. David watched as the aliens realized their complete vulnerability. Their eyes, multiple and complex, showed pure shock and growing terror. They had been hunters moments ago, now reduced to completely immobilized specimens. Rachel approached. The first alien, her movements deliberate and scientific. She carried a small scanning device analyzing their biological structures with clinical detachment. Each scan revealed intricate details about their physiological composition. Fascinating, she muttered more to herself than anyone else. Their neural network is quite complex but surprisingly predictable. The ship's medical bay had already begun preparing for the next phase. Specialized containment units waited, designed specifically for processing these unexpected guests. Nothing would be wasted. Outside, the alien mothership remained unaware of its boarding team's fate. Standard protocol would suggest a check-in within minutes, but the horizon was already jamming their communication frequencies. David walked among the paralyzed aliens, studying them like specimens in a laboratory. Years of research, months of preparation had led to this moment. Humanity was no longer going to be passive prey in the galactic ecosystem. Each alien represented a potential resource. Their protein structures, their complex biological systems, could provide unprecedented scientific insights. More importantly, they would serve a very practical purpose for the human crew.